Hi, my name is Noel Davis with World Composting, and today, instead of going back to my worm bins like we normally do, we're going to check out the Bokashi bucket and see how it is going. Now I'm going to post a link up here to the first video for this one, but really what we're going to do is I'm going to just take a little view of the Bokashi bucket. I want to show you guys what's going on a little bit. I can't dig into it because you can't do that with Bokashi, but it's almost full. I think I'm over halfway there to filling it up, but I want to show you the process that I've been doing every day, or sometimes some of it's every other day, some of it's every day. So I drain the bucket almost every day. I add food every day to every other day, I want to say. And it's getting close, and I've added some stuff that you can't add to a worm bin, or shouldn't really, or especially in large quantities should not. So I've added a lot of citrus at times. I've added full pieces of apple that were all bad. I've added some lobster shells that we had. I added some bread that had mayonnaise and mustard on it, some vegetables that had seasoning on it that didn't taste right. So I've added some stuff that I would never add to my worm bins because they would smell, or they would probably kill the worms, or it might, it might really be bad in there. So that's what I'm really trying to use this for, but I am adding a lot of fruit and vegetables because this is just a huge system. 5 gallons is a lot of food when you really look at it, especially when you start squeezing it down and trying to get the liquids off. So let's go to the this bucket system and take a look. Remember, this is 2 5-gallon buckets, and I will post, as I said, a link up here to the corner for the first video. So let's go to and take a look. Alright, so here's our Bokashi system here. So as you can see, it is 2 buckets. In the first video, I drilled holes down through the top bucket that's on top here so it could drain into the other one. It has a lid on it. I am getting a little bit of an odor, so there's somewhere where it's leaking a little bit of air, I want to say. And the way this smells, it doesn't smell bad, but it doesn't smell great. So let's open this up and just take a look here. So it kind of has the smell, I want to say, it reminds me of like apple cider vinegar. So it's, as I said, it's not bad, but it's not good. So there's actually some white mold growing on this, by the way. This is just a piece of wax paper I put on top. And as you can see in here, there's carrots, there's celery. Let me just move this over a little bit. Some other things in there. We've got some kiwi. Underneath here is some shells, some bread, some other stuff. I put a lot of Bokashi in here recently because of the fact I'm trying to make sure that it doesn't smell. Now, I don't want to leave this open too long, so I'm going to add the new food that I have, which is right here. I've got some... This is the way you're supposed to do it. You add your food quickly. I don't have a lot this time, but I've got my Bokashi brand here, and I'll have links to all this stuff down below, by the way. And I'm just going to take a small amount, and just kind of sprinkle it over the top. Now, as I said, I've been adding quite a bit more. They really say only like a tablespoon or maybe 2 tablespoons, but because I have the shells in there and meats also, so I have some meats in there that and chicken bones, I've been adding a little bit more just to make sure. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this back on. Now, I decided to use the wax paper as a protector type layer for me because I'm using this clean bucket right here. I don't know if you can see it, sorry, but it's a clean 2-gallon bucket, and I've been using that to press down because you're supposed to press all this stuff. So I put my weight into it, I press it down. Now it's starting to stick a little bit there, but that's okay. So that's to kind of get the air out, and then I'm sealing it back up. Now, you want to do this typically as quick as you can. I left it open a little bit longer for your sake. Now what I'm going to do, though, is I need to empty the liquid out. And this is something that you need to do every day. So I'm going to move it off to this back corner over here. And that's where I also use this 5-gallon bucket, or I'm sorry, 2-gallon bucket again, or 3-gallon, whatever it is. Let me see if it says on the bottom. 2 US gallons. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do this in 2 steps here, is I'm going to take off this top part, which is pretty heavy now, okay? I'm going to just hit it to the side. I'm going to drain the liquid off of here. And this liquid is kind of discolored. Hold on, I'm going to put it back like this. Put that on the ground. The liquid here also has a slight odor. Not much liquid this time. There's other times where I've gotten a lot more liquid out. It's usually this brown color with white stuff in it. I don't know if that's always the case. That seems to be how it's happening for me. But that's what I'm getting out of the bin. Or this bucket system when I drain it. Now, sometimes it's a lot of liquid, and it's really a whole lot. It's, a couple inches in here, it looks like, and other times it's empty. I emptied this out last night, so you know, not nearly as much. But if I'd waited like, you know, maybe a day and a half or something like that, there'd be a lot of liquid coming out. And there's just more and more liquid that's coming out as I go and have more stuff in there. I found like the first couple times I emptied it, this is about how much I got. As it's got about, you know, halfway filled, I was getting 3 to 4 times this amount. So that's the way this works. I'm going to add water to this. I'm going to just drain it into my yard, or you could put it in your plants. It's supposed to be really good for those. I will say, I am seeing a few fruit flies, especially around this bucket. So make sure if you're dumping this into a cup or a bucket or something, that you really rinse it out well. You don't want to have a whole bunch of fruit flies coming towards this stuff, and then all of a sudden you have a fruit fly infestation either. Especially if you have other systems like I do, as you can see, as you know, the vermin bag right here, and I've got an urban worm bag beneath this. You really don't want to have a whole lot of issues with fruit flies. Now, let me go back to this bucket real quick. The bucket system. Saying that, I do want to mention here, when I drain this off, you can see there is some stuff forming on the side here that's you know, that's from the draining it, and it, you know, obviously it doesn't have a pore lip on it, so it kind of gets on the sides a little bit. I am seeing fruit flies land on those as well, but there's only a few around the bucket. There really isn't a whole lot. It's not concerning to me. It's like 1 or 2. You know, I haven't seen, like, it's not like there's 50 on here or something like that, but that is something to be concerned about if you're trying to do this in your kitchen, maybe with one of these systems. It might be better to buy a real system so you don't have this lip issue like I do. This is being done in my basement, so it's not a big deal. But if you're doing this upstairs, or you know, someplace where there's people that walk by, you really want to make sure that this is fully sealed and isn't going to be smelly in any way, and you're going to probably want a real system. They sell those on Amazon as well. I'll put a link below for that. But you know, just so you know, otherwise, you know, this 5-gallon system with a standard lid seems to work pretty well. No real odors. I mean, maybe a slight odor when I walk, when I'm like right next to it, but other than that, I can't really tell that it's down here, and I don't think other people would either. And as I said, it doesn't smell bad. It smells like apple cider vinegar. That's kind of bad to me, but other people that I know, I mean, like I know that other people drink that, and I just don't do that. So, but anyhow, this has worked so far pretty well. We're almost to the top. Once it gets filled, I'm going to do a video update then, and then we shut this for a couple weeks and let it just break down and continue. But during that time, you need to continue to empty the liquid. So, saying all of this, I want to go over one of the drawbacks to this system, and that is that entire liquid piece. So, obviously, it's no big deal really, you know, especially if you have a tap down here on the bottom and you can just drain it and stuff like that. It's not a big deal when you're home. The problem is that this system, I don't know how well it would work if you left it for 2 weeks without draining it. I'm afraid it would smell, so if you have like vacations coming up or something like that, this system might not work for you at that time. Or if you're somebody that travels a lot, this might not work for you, especially compared to these worm bins that I've got back here, which, you know, I've left them for a month without doing anything, and there's no problem whatsoever. This is a little bit more labor intensive as far as the making sure that you do things on specific time frames. So I know that the first time I did this, I didn't know I had to drain the liquid every day. I sort of left it for a couple days, and it began to smell. It became a major issue, and I eventually had to just dump it outside. I couldn't even take it in the house anymore. I couldn't open it up inside. This, it's still working fine because I've been draining it every day, but you really got to watch it. You got to make sure you drain it. So this is one of those things I'm going to say about this system right here, is that you got to, this is a little bit more labor intensive than maybe some of the other ones. But you know, if you're an airline pilot, probably won't work for you. If you are somebody that's home almost every day, and you know, every once in a while you take, you know, a couple days and go to work, this will probably work really well. I know that it will. For my first system I did, which did not work out very well, but I dumped a container about this size in my yard in a hole, and the next time I went to dig about a year later, it was all gone. So you know, I didn't expect that, but it was. Luckily it was, because I was planting plants. But anyhow, so just some, you know, just some thoughts about this bucket system and the fact that it is working, but it's a little different than what I'm used to, and it could be rough for somebody else that doesn't have the ability to monitor it daily, or the ability. I mean, like, this is getting heavy. I mean, this is 5 gallons now, almost, worth of stuff in here, and it's getting kind of heavy to move around. So just for your knowledge, just remember that, you know, it's not just a one-step process and then you're done. It's not throwing the food in and you're done. You have to make sure you monitor it. You have to make sure you drain it. You have to make sure that, you know, if it starts to smell, you want to add more Bokashi in there, because Bokashi becomes very important. So I hope you like this video, and I'll post some links to my other ones. I know that I have I have this on top of my urban worm bag, right, which is down below right here, and then I've got the Vermibag Max back here, so I have videos on those as well. And also, if you just want to start a small worm bin, I do have a good series on that, which is goes from 40 weeks long to show you how to do that. So I'll post a link to that as well. So if you have any questions, please leave a comment down below. And if you're curious on any parts to the system, I'll see if I can post them all. I know that the buckets, I mean, buckets are buckets pretty much wherever you get them for 5-gallon buckets. They can be Home Depot, Lowe's, Harbor Freight. They're 5-gallon buckets. They're pretty standard. And then this is just one of the standard lids that you can take on and off. I mean, don't get one of the ones that's a one-time seal and then you're done. So I hope that helps, and I hope you have any questions. Please let me know. Thank you.